Yeah. So like what kind of things like do you like what kind of thoughts come up for you when you're having these days?
So I will say, and I think at first it was easier because I was just so grateful for my body initially, right? It's like,
Mm,
holy shit, man, like you've kept me alive. We're doing hard things. We just went through a very gnarly surgery. Like, I'm so grateful. And it's not that those feelings have disappeared, but like I said, it's like now we're kind of integrating back to real life. And so it's a little harder to like hug that really tight. Like it was a little bit easier initially. And so I think for me, it's equal parts. I'm like, okay, Grace, like this is where we are at. I actually keep coming back to our conversations with our friend Tiana when we podcasted with her quite a bit. And so, quick recap, when we interviewed her, she was basically talking about how she navigates body change when she's going through figure competitions and going from the extremes of, for her, weighing upwards of like 160, 170, and then on stage being down between like the 130s to 140s. And so she talked about this idea of having different outfits, and when clothing alone, no longer serves us, well, we have to put on a different outfit and we have to change our clothes and we have to change our mindset. And so that has been something that I keep coming back to on those days that it's just like we are going out to sea on what I would describe as like the body spiral of just like, oh man, not loving how this fits. So, in my world, when I'm having a bad body day, where I want to start is like, okay, how can I just feel good in clothes? Because if you're squeezing into something, you're not going to feel good. If it's something that's not flattering you at this moment in time. So in my situation, I actually still weigh the exact same as I did, 4 to 6 weeks ago, but I've lost a lot of muscle. And so things aren't fitting the same way, especially like shorts right now are a struggle for me because that's where I
hmm
lose like body fat first. Is it's like my ass, my legs are just like, bye, girl. And so it's like my
I don't
legs.
know, not according to the commenter on that one post that you had.
I needed that comment. Somebody, I don't even know what, but it was a hiking post. Somebody commented and basically was like, yo, that booty though.
It's like,
Uh,
oh my gosh.
Shout out to that person. I needed that little
You made her day.
needed that internet squeeze that day. But yeah, it's like clothing just isn't fitting me the same right now. And so on days that I am just, we've talked about this before, but it's like, especially if stress is really high, we tend to nitpick on our body
Yeah,
or that,
we pick ourselves apart for sure.
and that's
Yeah.
where we deflect it. And so lately, that's been something where it's just like been feeling very burnout on work stuff. I've just been feeling very burnt out on everything, to be honest. And so stress has been a little bit higher, even though it should be like, oh, you're going back to the gym, you're getting back to the things you love. But it's like I found myself just kind of nitpicking or wishing my body didn't look a kind of way. And so kind of pressing pause on how I'm feeling and just being like, okay, we need to get dressed. It's okay that you're not feeling yourself and whatever you just tried on, but like, let's just keep changing outfits until we figure out, what we feel good in. And so obviously, it's
Mm.
like if clothes are very tight fitting, they're really compressive, they're really squeezing. It's probably not the clothing you want to be in if you're maybe not feeling yourself that day. And so it's like finding, like I talked about this on Instagram recently, was it's like if I'm going to the gym, I've been wearing a lot of long sleeve shirts or like hoodies or stuff like that. And thank goodness that's not super hot in the gym, but it just keeps me on track in the gym in terms of like, yo, I'm here to lift. I'm here to work out. I'm not here to like look in the mirror and then start spiraling about my body like mid workout. Right.
hmm
So it's like figuring out what are the things that I feel good in right now. What are the things that are maybe a little more loose fitting, a little more flowy. Again, things like hoodies are like my BFF right now because I just, you're not seeing it and therefore you're not giving yourself kind of that room or that space or permission to kind of obsess about it and nitpick about it. So that's been something I've been doing a lot is like reorganizing my closet, even especially like the weather is finally starting to get a little warmer in California too. So it was like the other day, it was like, okay, what is in my closet right now? What do I feel good in? What fits good? And if it's not that, I literally just will put stuff in like a Lululemon tote or some sort of box and then just literally save it for a different day, right? So it's like putting it in our spare closet of like, hey, just like you would winter, like winter clothing and stuff. It's like you're not really rocking that. So same thing, it's like, hey, this isn't fitting me in the season I'm in. I'm sure we'll be back there soon as I continue to get back to exercise and lifting and doing all of that stuff. But right now, you don't get to be here, right? Because it is, that's self-defeating if you're also just like going through your closet being like I don't want to wear any of this. It doesn't look good. It's like kind of slimming down your
Yeah, it's like
options
always in
too.
your face, right? Like it's always a reminder that oh, I don't fit in these clothes. I think that's a really great idea. Like going through your stuff, inventorying, okay, what fits well, what doesn't fit well, taking the stuff that doesn't fit well and just setting it aside for at least right now, temporarily, right? Until, you are back to where you want to be.
Totally. And it's like, I think too, like Coach Kate from Paragon and I were talking about this, but it's like, you kind of have your sizes for stuff, right? So it's like, oh, well, if I'm bulking right now, okay, well, then I tend to be, these size leggings or these size tops. And then same thing, it's like, well, if you're doing like a hypertrophy cycle or if you're doing a strength cycle or if you're cutting, it's like you kind of end up having this range of clothing. Like for me, it's basically between like 3 different sizes at Lululemon, like boop, boop, boop. But kind of just knowing that like sizes are transient in that way, right? Where it's like, it's not bad that your body's changing. It's just like whatever in your body is going to reflect also the inputs that you're giving it. So we shouldn't expect, if we're doing different cycles in the gym or we're training, different ways. Well, yeah, like the clothing that we fit into is also going to change. And so having, kind of those different categories, I think is super
Yeah.
helpful. Cause I think for so many people, it's like they just have their clothes and then that's it. And it's like, oh, again, like the
Well,
body don't work like that.